All right, welcome everyone. We're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we're here for
Beastars, Season 1, Episode 4.
All right, this show is so good.
Yeah.
Y'all, what they're doing
Oh, boy.
now, if Louis is actually, revealed in his vulnerable position, I am here for it.
Mm-hmm. I am so down for this. Yeah.
The curtain will fall. The masks will come off.
Right. And maybe they can cover it up. The whole thing of and Louis just decided not to take a bow with everyone else. Who knows?
Right. He doesn't want to steal the spotlight.
Right, exactly.
I think that's a perfect narrative that they can go around.
Yeah.
But the thing is that the people involved in the performance still saw that.
Yep.
And rumors will spread.
The rumors will spread.
So Louis is now set up to go on an arc.
Yep.
Among the other arc that he already had set up. So I am in some ways really excited for where that's going to go. For his character, more so than actually what's going on with some of the other stuff.
Oh, man.
But Legoshi is making huge strides as a character right now.
He's learning to accept himself and develop that confidence and everything. And this is great. And he's realizing that he has Haru to thank for a lot of that.
Well, that's the thing. I don't feel like he should be attributing this so much to Haru, but sorry, I've been saying her name wrong. Haru. It's Haru, but I've been saying Haru. I've been told by the Discord people. I'm just trying to get the name right.
Right, down inflection.
Exactly. Emphasis on the wrong syllable. But
Yep.
I feel like this is more of something where he had something that kind of shook him out of his stupor, but that was actually a mistake.
Yes.
Not his interactions afterwards with Haru.
Right, but it's how these two very broken people can come together and help each other in their own different ways to work on themselves.
Right.
And I love that.
Yeah, my thing, though, is that the blind leading the blind is not a helpful thing.
Right.
And she is not in a good place right now, given their last encounter.
Right.
He is still not in a good place in that I would like, in some ways, a little bit more of him and Louis actually to interact.
Oh, yeah?
Rather than going, back to some interactions with him and Haru.
Why not both?
I think we're definitely going to get both because they're the three main characters at this point. Right. But yeah, very much enjoying this show. Can't wait to get into this. So, y'all, without further ado, let's do this. Bam.
I love this OP. I love this show. I can't imagine how much time it must have taken to make this.
Want to on the wild side. Just want to sleep through my whole life. Sometimes wearing buffalo style. I've got a rock and roll mind. It's like a musical collaboration between the Japanese performers and the English singer. Release my name when the music's over. Turn out the lights, it's such a sweet time. For me a friend, let's start the overtime.
Seeing him wagging his tail. And it's all, warm and bright and everything. And that smile and the shake of his head and everything. But then it goes back to this.
Studio Orange.
Oh boy.
Isn't that such an eclipse, berserk kind of moment, rising up at the blood moon, Let the Holy Grail soak.
Oh, all right.
They got nothing. I love that this guy's... It is interesting, huh? boy. There was never a more predicted Soka ever, you know? Yeah. It's probably going to be a couple months until he's recovered.
Even if it was just a couple weeks, like, which it wouldn't be, you know, that shoots all the performances.
And he's not even listening to them. He's tuned it all out.
Wow. Oh, man.
He hates this?
Uh-huh. The way it...
Okay, delegation.
Tomorrow.
Whoa. Yeah, seriously. Wait, what? What's Legoshi doing? No, he's taking his role. Yeah. Oh.
Oh, so now he has to play a villain, and that's...
Yeah.
Oh. Oh.
Yeah. Oh. Oh. That is freaky,
that is a lot of pressure.
That's a lot of pressure, yeah. Whoa.
That looked good.
That looked really good. Nice.
Ooh.
Whoa. Watch. This performance is going to be even... It's probably going to be even better than how it was with Louis.
Well, everyone has their different style that they bring into any kind of... Oh, wow. Their own flavor that they bring to the role.
Right.
So... Oh, boy.
And then he just... There we go. Good job. I love the voice acting from the tiger.
Oh, yeah. It's great.
Doesn't he actually remind you a little bit of... Shoot, what's his name? I'll think of it. Oh, yeah. Yeah. We're counting on you.
Yeah. And that's probably a way that he can think about it in a positive way, you know?
Oh.
Ouch. That's gotta be so much pressure.
Maybe they'll even like read too much into it by being like, anyone can be Adler. You know, herbivore or carnivore. Whoa.
Oh.
That was a very interesting way to frame the shot.
Yeah. You talk to Louis. Did he drink for his nerves?
Yeah, what do you got, man? What do you got?
Oh!
It's like drugs, basically.
Uh-huh. Whoa, man. Well, their fight's gonna be real on the stage.
Yeah. Oh.
Oh boy.
This music is good.
Uh-huh. Oh man.
All right. Good stuff. Good stuff. A little extra world building, character development, and yeah, there's not much really you can say in this situation, Legoshi. Yeah.
All right, so what's gonna happen?
Yeah, it's gonna be good. Stage fright. Yeah.
Oh man.
The spotlight, the focus.
You can do it, dude.
The stuff that Louis is kind of like intentionally seeking. You know, to see he can become a Beastar.
Don't think about it, dude. Oh boy. Oh yeah. And she's there on the second day, so she sees this.
Yep. Okay. Seems pretty good so far, other than that wavering bit earlier.
Yeah.
Whoa, whoa.
Whoa!
Whoa! Oh, we're off script now.
Yeah. Oh shit. Oh my god. Dude. Oh man. Oh man.
Jeez.
Oh boy. Dude, no, stop. Oh, wow.
Whoa. Oh! Oh! Wow. Wow. Oh my god. Oh, crap. Oh, this is gonna hurt. What? What? We're improving this whole thing now. Oh,
he found it? Wow.
Oh my gosh. Oh.
Wait. Wow. Wow. Oh my god. Oh my god.
That was fantastic.
That was so good.
That was so perfectly symbolic.
Yeah.
Wow.
Uh-huh. Holy shit.
Brilliant. Yeah.
That was amazing.
That was so good.
That was so freaking amazing. Oh my god.
All right.
Wow. Wow.
All right.
I love this show.
Yeah, this show's fantastic.
I love this show. Wow. Well, you said you wanted more Legoshi and Louis.
I did. And here we go.
There we go.
Wow. I'm just kind of dumbfounded right now.
Yeah.
We got this.
Oh, man. Whew. All right. So the reporter's gonna have
quite a story.
Quite a story.
But it's not gonna be a hit piece or anything. It's just gonna be it's gonna be this performance is the talk of the school now. And everyone's gonna want to see it tomorrow night too.
Well, and was Louis essentially passing on the torch in an official sense to Legoshi to be the Reaper?
Possibly. We'll see. Oh my god, y'all. This episode was nigh perfect.
This was incredible.
I think there have been a couple little things that the show has done up until this point that elevate the show as a whole. Bit by bit. But I think what they did in this episode, specifically with Louis, and then specifically with Legoshi here, Bill was really interesting in how they framed his character. He wasn't one note in the slightest. But there was something within the context of him and Legoshi that I felt was quite interesting. Because they were trying to bring up the idea of how, or Louis was trying to bring up the idea of how opposite Legoshi is to Bill. And yet, by the end of the episode, Bill is trying to be like, we're forged and we have a bond of brotherhood and that we're both carnivores.
We're of the same blood.
I'm going to mark you with this same bit here. Seems a bit interesting. But then Louis lowers his hand to the carnivore, raising him up to stand straight alongside them as if they're both heroes. Now, you're probably onto something here in that you were predicting after we had finished the episode
that it might be that Legoshi might be the way that they transition the role of the Reaper in a way that basically the audience will accept, given that they would clearly be disappointed because the fact that Louis is not the Reaper anymore.
Exactly, and how they didn't actually accept entirely that Bill was the replacement Reaper.
Now, is Legoshi ready for that? That remains to be seen. But one of the things that I really like that they did here, even though the play went way off the rails, from the standpoint of the production of it, is that they brought up the whole notion that each actor will bring a different part to the performance, for the same role.
It's almost as if they're different species and different people.
Exactly.
And people and species are different, so...
There will be different flavors for each performance. And that's something that can be really good, and it's something that people can maybe not like, but it also sort of goes in tune with the whole idea of the carnivore aspect of like, oh, you've smelled rabbit blood before.
Yeah. That's why you freaked out so much about that. I'm not stupid here, Legoshi.
Did you eat one? Did
you kill one?
Did
you harm one?
Yeah, that's... I absolutely loved that conflict so much because you know exactly why Legoshi is freaking out so much, right? Beyond just the idea of as far as I was thinking it was a drink for the nerves. No. He had the blood of an animal, right? That's in this world, that's it's a hit. It's kind of a big deal, and definitely a hit. And
just smelling it probably put Bill into a little bit of a but then also we saw how it affected Legoshi in that he had smelled her blood before. He had come this close to tasting her blood before.
Yep.
This is not Haru's blood. This is just some rabbit's, blood, but it made him think, oh my god, I cannot accept the fact that I was this close to being a murderer, a devourer.
Yeah, something where he's
giving into my carnal impulses.
Right. It was something where the idea of him being mad at Bill totally makes sense. That is the blood of a sentient being that was probably slaughtered, right? I'm guessing it's not some sort of blood donation or something.
I mean, it could be.
It could be. It
totally could be. Yeah.
Who knows, right?
Yeah.
But and who knows, maybe there would be an avenue for potential legitimate business if it's done in that fashion. Blood transfusions are a thing nowadays, right? Who knows? But then there's the idea of no. It's also personal. When he kept beating on Bill, it was because it's that kind of self-inflicted, harm and pain that he does to himself all the time, right? Because
stay down. You're not allowed to.
Exactly. Yep. And one of the things that I love so much about how this episode ended is that when Louis lifts Legoshi up, right? When he gives him the hand and helps him up, look at how tall Legoshi is standing there in the spotlight.
He is not slouching.
He's not slouching his shoulders. He's standing straight, standing proud, and looking on a whole new world, right?
Yep.
That's so wonderful. Yeah, oh my god.
The spotlight is literally being shared with him and Louis by herbivore and carnivore. But I want to bring up the idea that when you actually have that kind of a spotlight on you, I don't think you can really see the crowd.
Nope.
If anything, I think he sees this thin veil of kind of darkness with the silhouettes maybe of some people behind it.
But it's an idea almost at that point.
It's a mysterious future that holds possibility.
Yep.
And in the dark like that, none of those people look like herbivores or carnivores. They just look like people.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Yeah.
I just think that there's a lot of artistic frameworking of the shot specifically at multiple points in this stage performance here that made it feel like a stage performance. So it was just so fun and exciting.
Oh man. I don't think I've ever been so excited to see a performance of fiction and art and stuff within a performance of fiction and art. Like this was
It's been
great.
a while.
It's been a while.
Yeah.
And the idea that we saw how the play goes before,
that was important. Yeah.
That was important. I didn't realize, I had no clue that it was because the play's going to go differently. I figured it was just once, with Louis being injured and stuff, it's building him up of how much he does for it, but then also the shoes that need to be filled, right? I didn't think this was going to happen, right? But you totally couldn't have done this without showing how the play was supposed to go,
Right.
And, oh, man.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
Oh, my God. I loved the embrace scene here after he's been, punching him.
Yep.
And it's something where maybe just because he's a tiger and he's a stronger...
Oh, yeah. A wolf wouldn't stand a chance against a tiger.
Maybe. But the idea that the punches and stuff... Yeah, I know. The punches and stuff did nothing. I don't know if that was Legoshi holding back because he was on a stage performance and stuff, but
there was blood.
There was blood.
A little bit, yeah.
There was blood. But I'm more specifically worried about now Bill really is not going to like... I'm worried about what this means for the future because that blood, that fell down off the stage.
Oh, it did?
Yeah, pretty sure it did.
Oh, I thought it just spattered onto the stage.
No, it was in a little vial.
Oh, yeah, right. And I believe Louis picked it up.
No, it landed there.
No, but see, I think there was a crutch right next to it, and that's why Louis was like, "I know what you've done."
Oh.
Yeah.
Hold on. Oh, you're right. That is definitely...
Yep.
Definitely Louis. Oh, okay. Gotcha. I thought that was one of the people out on
like it was the reporter or something.
Well, no,
like
see
that.
How we see the reporter here and like a dog or something. I thought that there was someone that might have seen it out in the...
And then it'd be this huge like scandal thing of like...
Yeah, but I guess, no, you're right. It went backstage to where Louis was. I loved that we saw the images from Legoshi's perspective as he's punching
of Haru and all the like when he drew blood from her and all that stuff,
flowers and everything.
Yep.
And then once he's starting to quiver his lip and stuff, this is something that I say is just something that's done well with regards to the 3D. But when you see, he's like, did you kill one or hurt one, maybe? You can see Legoshi, like, looking up, and it's like he's about to cry. And his bottom, like, jaw is just like, quivering.
It's both, like, that sort of, like, could be seen as that growling sort of baring of teeth, but then also the whimpering, like, all at the same time.
Silently, you know?
Yep.
What's the line? Lives of quiet desperation? What is it exactly?
The idea of a bunch of people live lives of quiet desperation.
Right. But that's like the back half of the quote. I'm gonna have to look it up or something. But if any of you in the comments know what it is, just shout it out for those that don't know what it is, and I'll eventually look it up. But he almost went for a coup de grace on him, and I like that this was a constant thing of people one-upping each other there and stealing the spotlight. Because that is what Legoshi did to Bill.
Yes.
And that's, I think, something that he was trying to get back, and Bill did a really good job of acting it out to make it work. But this point here, where he says, I know all about them, the sins that you committed and stuff. What kind of image or message do you think Louis is wanting to communicate to the audience? Because he has had a little bit of a stint in the things that he's been saying, where he's trying to cast a picture for society, aka the school, in this play that this might be in line with, or it might be slightly different.
Well, because with himself personally, right, he wants to be seen as a predator himself, right? Not just some weakling, right? He wants to be one of the strong. And in this situation here, it was something where he was calling out Bill, but also, the character, the Reaper character, the one who was the sort of like good guy but with a dark past kind of a thing, right?
Okay.
And saying, I know of the things that you've done, get lost, which does seem a bit different, but then at the same time, he then turns and accepts the person who was previously the bad
villain. Right.
So
this is something of where your heroes wear masks.
Sure. Yeah.
Don't necessarily trust your heroes.
Right, and it's rejecting basically the falsity beneath the mask. Right. Which is interesting for Louis, since he does that a ton.
Right, but it is also rejecting in some ways the black and white narrative regarding carnivore is bad, herbivore is good, by saying that I as a herbivore accept this carnivore. So this is powerful for Legoshi. Because if he gets any more specific reinforcement in this way from Louis, they're going to end up fast friends, regardless of the fact that Louis is manipulating this situation for his own popularity in order to become a Beastar. He is definitely manipulating the spotlight to serve him favorably. Like, he gets looked at as like the even greater hero. It's like, what is the best thing a hero can do? Is they can die for their cause. Right. So he's going to die on stage and never be, performing this. And if they give it to Legoshi is elevated, yes, but who better but the Jedi Master that lent the thing down to them?
In this situation here, I feel like this isn't necessarily something, though, where Louis is doing it for, like, personal gain or whatever. He's trying, like, they're all trying to make the play as good as possible, right? And
the show must go on.
Right. The show must go on. And in Louis' specific case, his desire is to be dangerous, basically, right? He wants
powerful.
To be dangerous, powerful, strong, all of that. And that definitely helps by him, doing things in the performance and whatnot. But I feel like this is a different side of him, kind of.
Right, because he's leaning down. He's offering someone else his strength. It's a sign of vulnerability, and I would say humility.
Right, and it's also, and even if he's not being vulnerable with the audience of saying
it is a performance.
Because it's a performance, it is still something where him as the character does say, my time here is up, like I can't do this anymore, kind of a thing, which is really cool, because that's an element of sort of understanding of himself and acknowledging that to others that he hasn't really done before. Like, I was really surprised that he reacted so level-headedly when he woke up, granted,
in the beginning of the episode,
right, and granted, he's in front of a bunch of other people, right? So he's cat's out of the bag kind of a thing. And he did have the whole thing of the, what are you doing? Don't start treating me with kid gloves and stuff.
Yeah. But he immediately delegated to Bill, which I liked.
Right. He adapted to the situation and basically found a way for him to still be strong, even though physically in this situation he was in a moment of weakness. And from the play perspective, socially, he's in a moment of weakness because he can't be the lead anymore. So I think that's cool because Louis up till now has been very rigid as a person because he holds so fiercely to the things that he wants, Yeah.
Yeah. I loved also the animation choreography within the sparring match in the rehearsal, because what we saw here was that it was real. And when I say it was real, it's that the acting was either so good that we couldn't determine whether or not he was actually trying to hurt Legoshi. But the fact that Legoshi, someone who has no acting experience, was baring his teeth the whole way through this after a certain point, meant that to him it was real.
Because from what at least I've gathered from what acting I have done, what you want to do with acting is to not be acting, but to actually, it's sort of like the method approach or whatever, right? Of putting yourself into that situation, whether you're channeling the specific feelings and ideas of the character or something else similar, but you get to the point where you are feeling those things.
Right.
It's not that you're pretending to feel those things. You are manipulating your own self and channeling them so that you put that on, right?
Right.
And in the case of Legoshi and Bill, because they're both predators, the idea of getting into a fight scene, right, where tensions are high and they're aggressive and all that stuff, they have plenty of sort of ammunition for that. They don't need to have it be like, okay, what's my character motivations? It's just the idea of wanting to fight someone. That's something that they've been dealing with their whole lives, right? So they don't have to search far in order to get it, and that's probably why Louis specifically wanted the sort of dangerous hero character to be played by a deer in the first place,
or
right?
Just to be played by a herbivore, so that you can show that that dangerous aspect can come
from any of them. Yeah,
right. So one of the things that I thought was interesting here was that Bill brings up the whole line of there's no reason why we carnivores can't stand in the spotlight. Well, what happens at the end of the episode? But we have two carnivores kind of competing for the spotlight.
Yeah.
Whether or not Legoshi is doing this specifically for the spotlight isn't really important.
Yep.
The fact is that even though he doesn't seek the spotlight, at the end he is given the opportunity to stand in the spotlight because of Louis. But also because he acted. Now, it was rash and reckless.
Definitely.
But because he acted, this situation is end up going to help him. So I am going to be curious to see if Bill kind of brushes this off as if it's like, well, no, that was crazy. And yes, I did kind of push you a little bit by, doing that whole bathroom encounter was, one that maybe could have been handled better. But I think what's rather interesting here is that there's this idea of the spotlight being something that Bill's like, well, why can't we stand in the spotlight? Is it because just being a carnivore is shameful? Okay, possibly. But what if it's actually something where carnivores are usually ending up in positions of power, authority, or something like that, just by the nature of them being slightly stronger.
I thought it was kind of the reverse of that. The herbivores are normally in that because, I don't know, maybe not.
Okay, here's an idea though. Herbivores are dictating a lot of the social aspects of how things should be run, but carnivores are probably just agreeing to it. Because, we need to coexist. So
we gotta.
So we're gonna take that L, so to speak, for it. But maybe things aren't so simple in that. Actually, when it comes down to it, the ones making a lot of the shots still are actually the carnivores. So we have to stand in the spotlight, but stand in the spotlight with I don't deserve to be in this spotlight.
Right. I definitely believe that could be the case. Bill's frustration seems to come from the idea, though, that there's this notion that carnivores shouldn't be in the spotlight.
Right. And I think that's more of as a carnivore, I stand in the spotlight as maybe a person, but I can't stand in the spotlight as a carnivore.
Oh.
The difference of how you present yourself versus what you are. And he's saying that because in this fight scene, we're actually encouraged to bring out that strength.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So like he says
right,
here,
we don't need some fancy choreography. We're two carnivores. We can do this, yeah.
Right. And he's saying, tomorrow I'll finally be able to show everyone just how brightly someone strong can shine when using their strength to its fullest. So I think what's interesting here is he's saying, you can shine strong, you can shine brightly in the spotlight no matter who you are.
Right.
Or what you are.
Mm-hmm.
But if you show your strength in the spotlight, that might be something that they're like, yeah, don't do that.
Yeah.
Just fall in line.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
be docile.
Right. Suppression. You know, kind of keep that bottled in there. Don't actually show who you are.
Right.
And now he's saying like, no, this is something that I get the privilege of being able to do. Mm-hmm. And he's like, isn't this awesome? We're a wolf and a tiger.
We can go at it on stage. This is great. Yeah. And one of the things that I thought was really interesting with Bill is that, because, you know, there's that whole idea of like the channeling the emotions and things like that, you know, method acting. Method acting can get a little bit dangerous, though, you know, because, well, you're messing with your internal state and doing it based on something for fiction. So that can get into some pretty crazy areas. But when Bill all of a sudden, like when the fight was over and he just rested, you know, the sword on his shoulder and just went back to smiling.
Because he's an actor.
Well, he's an actor, and it's also something of, I've found a balance, basically.
Oh, okay.
With this side of myself, even if it's one that isn't socially acceptable with like the blood and things like that, whereas Legoshi hasn't. So when Legoshi lets it out, it's something that controls him, not him controlling it.
Right.
Whereas in the case of Bill, because he has met that equilibrium with it,
which does require doping,
which does require doping, and he's maybe doing it in ways that he shouldn't be, it's still something where he's faced that side of himself so that when he brings it out, he can also put it back away. Right?
Just fine.
Because the genie does answer to him, it can go back in the bottle.
Right, which is why I wanted to bring up that Legoshi in the sparring match is teeth bared, like he looks like he's actually in this fight. And I think to him it's because he doesn't have that experience with the acting bit there, like you're saying. Sure. He hasn't faced that side of himself and achieved some equilibrium. The closest he came to that was the end of the first episode, or the first episode entirely.
And that was just his first encounter with it. You know?
His first one where he let it out.
Right.
Every other time he'd probably let it out like this size of... No, suppress.
Big difference
this is healthy!
Big difference between having an encounter with a bottle versus having an encounter with what's inside the bottle.
Right.
You know, he's managed to handle that bottle just fine.
He looks at it.
Yeah, he looks at it. He keeps it on its shelf. He dusts it every once in a while, you know?
Yeah.
But what about when you actually let it out?
For sure. Els has a really cool scene with Legoshi, and that was really sweet.
You can actually smile.
Yeah,
I've had people say that to me, and it's oh boy.
I love how he kind of looks at the moon. The moon. It's slight, narrow, and he's just like, okay.
Yep.
I think I can do this.
That bit of his nature peeking out, kind of, and
yeah.
And also Bill just looking at the mask and that idea of the responsibility and the weight of what he's needing to do. Because, like, in this situation with the whole, like, doping thing, it would be very easy, I feel like, to have it just be like, Bill's a bad guy, kind of a thing, right?
I mean, but he could be the one that did the devouring.
Oh, he totally could be. He totally could be, right? With
the fact that we've gotten this much characterization for him.
Yep. Well, right. But the fact that we've got this much characterization for him when he was kind of just introduced this episode, and he is very much a side character, like at best. So that I really like that, and it helps basically represent that crazy complicated dynamic with the balance between like the different sides of at work here of the nature, nurture, suppression and all that stuff, who your sort of innate aspects of yourself versus the aspects that you choose to take on. That was really cool. And like mentioning perhaps you changed your mind at the last minute and decided to come and crush me,
foreshadowing much.
Well, sure.
What happens on stage.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
But also just the idea that he's acknowledging the idea of Louis coming in and crushing him, the deer coming in and crushing the tiger. There aren't really many predators out there more terrifying than a tiger. Yeah. Like, as far as like one of them by itself.
It's in the top three, kind of categories, at least for the land.
Yeah.
So it's It's interesting. But Bill's an interesting character with what we've gotten thus far. I liked seeing something that reminded me of real life stories I've heard of people that take on roles.
Oh, yeah?
And saying like, okay, with this role, this is going to be tough. You have the duty of moving the hearts of thousands of students, no two quite the same. That's the curse of the role of of Adler. And if you find your spirit broken by that curse, you'll have more to worry about than a fractured leg. Now, what I think is really cool about this is that if we assume Louis is also broken, just like, Haru and Legoshi. Everyone is. That's the kind of the point of the show. It's a lot of broken people.
Yep.
But doesn't that not, feel like the most projected statement he just made there?
Oh, sure. Yeah. Well,
by the way, you have the duty. I have the duty of moving the hearts of thousands of students. No two quite the same.
Right.
That's the curse I bear.
Yep.
If you find your spirit broken by the curse I bear, you'll have to worry about more than what I deal with constantly. Which is, at the end of the episode, he kind of did I now have this thing I hold over you. I found your weakness. You dope. You will have me as an enemy now. If you come against me.
Sure.
Here. This is reading into it a bit too much, but what I think is rather cool here is that if people take on a role so much that it becomes who they are, it can become a curse that literally devolves them and breaks them down.
Oh yeah. Well,
at
I can
a
imagine
fundamental level.
Well, I can imagine say with child actors or something, that's definitely some of the stuff that probably happens there.
Totally.
Amidst all the other craziness that probably happens, but I definitely got the feeling that it kind of felt like a threat, from Louis. But I'm really curious to see if anything happens with the whole idea that Louis now knows about the blood, because what we've seen from Louis is that if anything, he gets annoyed by weakness. He wants to bring people's strength out of them more, right? Or at least with Legoshi, right? So
yeah, we just have seen really cold aspects of him where he definitely does manipulate people. And I think that this is something that remember how they were saying in the previous episode, everyone's got a secret here. What's yours, Legoshi?
Oh,
We never knew what Bill's was, but now we do.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
So the idea that everyone has a secret, I don't think is anything new to him. I'm not saying he's going to crush him.
Yeah.
But I would say if Bill came at them,
oh, sure,
he would not hesitate to use
right.
it.
Because Louis is a predator.
Yes,
and he'll defend his territory,
Right. Yeah. So I just feel like the person of Louis is one we still also haven't seen by the nature of this projection here.
Really?
Basically saying that he's already afflicted by the curse of Adler, basically. The curse of his thing there is that when you think about the fractured leg, that curse that he bears is so much bigger than the fractured leg.
Right.
That's why he was able to do all those things despite having a fractured leg.
Because it's not that big of a deal compared to everything else.
Exactly.
And
that's
I would
my
say,
point. Yeah.
And I would say this is because with Louis, because he's so proud, right? Unless we're seeing him by himself with his own thoughts, we're not going to get too much as far as into his own characterization and everything. And because there isn't another person, we can only see how he reacts to that with himself, not talking about it with another person.
Sure.
But because with the other stage people, they saw him in this vulnerable state, right? I feel like he's been a bit more open about that side of himself with other people, talking about the whole thing about the fractured leg and the curse and all that stuff. That's something that I don't think he ever would have mentioned to someone before this, and probably not to anyone that didn't know about the fracture. Just using the crutches and things like that. Like I can imagine he probably hates just the idea that he has to do that, but, well, they already know anyways, so I guess there's no point,
Yeah. I also think that this conversation that they had in the hallway framed or started with the part where he puts his hand on his shoulder. Bill puts his hand on shoulder there. He puts it there in a very predator kind of look here. The way the shot starts here is you have him walking away. You'll have more to worry about a fractured leg, something that could be taken a little bit as a threat. The cape billows in very much a menacing kind of way as it approaches him from behind. Then clawed hand. This is all stuff to remind us what kind of world they're in.
Right. That's what Louis sees. Right.
Then he has that look of like that slight worry. And then he looks up at him. And he's smiling, saying, "I'll get the door for you."
Yeah.
Right. And he seems like a good guy.
Yep.
We get the very next scene, and now it's light. It's bright. He's saying, "You know how to make it in life," meaning like you figured out how to maneuver this world that's crazy as a tiger.
Yeah.
And he's like, "I wish you could share some of that shrewdness with Legoshi."
Right.
And he's like, whoa, Legoshi's been grabbing your attention lately? And he's like, he just annoys me. He forces himself to be one of the weak. I feel like that's raw and honest.
The deer with the crutches says, going down the hall. Yeah.
Right, for the other thing he's discussing. Look at you two are polar opposites. What I like bringing up here is that when he says you're polar opposites, he then brings up how he's living life to the fullest here. From what I'm understanding, he's missing out on life. I'm glad from the bottom of my heart that I was born a tiger, and yet this is the guy that's doping.
Right.
So he's lying here.
Well, yeah,
I think he's lying out of his ass here. And if this is the kind of guy that can smile like this, lying to probably one of the most cunning and shrewd and smart characters we've seen in the show.
Well, and he could totally be the one that
he is the actor then. That is he is a true actor.
Well, and a lot of it I could definitely see being something where there are the aspects where because it's complicated, right?
It's complicated. You're right.
It's not full repression like Legoshi.
True.
He's accepting that part of himself, but in accepting that part of himself, there are things that he does while accepting that part of himself that he doesn't want to let people know.
Right.
And which is why the devouring would be in line with that, because it could be an extreme example.
Right. And maybe he just he maybe just missed a doping session or something.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
But what would be really crazy to come up with is that, of course, it's not that he's suddenly a bad guy or anything. But my thing is that when you lie, you have to first lie to yourself a little bit before you can conveniently lie to others. Because our physical bodies react in a negative way whenever we lie.
To make it as believable as possible. Yeah.
Wait, what do you mean?
Well, if you want the lie to be as believable as possible, you don't want to be caught in like a Freudian slip or something, right? So ideally, you would want to basically make it so that that's totally what happened.
Right. I got what you're saying. Yeah, you have to somewhat believe it yourself a little bit. But that's the thing I think that's freaky here, is because he's an actor, and we've seen, this episode is establishing how good of an actor he is. I don't know who he's lying to more, himself or Louis here. Right. So I'm going a little bit, I would say, too hard on this specific theory with Bill, but I think that this line right here, framed with this smile that he's got, that you said it was derpy, I love that phrasing for it, because it's consistent across every other time that he smiles, except when his back is facing the stage.
Yeah,
and then we see a smile.
Not a derpy smile.
That is not a derpy smile.
Yep.
And he is he is showing his true colors here.
Yep.
He's saying, don't worry, this is all for the performance. Just fall down, everything will look great. I'm going to give you a mark of our brotherhood. We'll wear matching patterns. I love that.
Giving stripes.
Stripes, there's another phrase that's known that's really it's either heartbreaking or it's like kind of chilling. It's like judging like stripes and dang it, I'll try and look it up. There's so many little things that have been busting through my mind at this episode. But this was, I think, the moment where we saw something a little bit more true to who he is.
And
with the mask off.
But at the same time, it totally makes sense here, because this is one, it's part of the performance, right? So emotions are high and everything, but it's also something where he's able to have a conversation with Legoshi that he can't have with Louis,
right?
Because while with Louis it's different than almost every other herbivore out there, because Louis takes on the persona of I am a carnivore, I am a predator, I am a person of power. With Legoshi, it's someone where it's like dude, you're dealing with the same kind of things that I have to deal with, but you're going about it all wrong, from his perspective, and also, in truth, right? There are better ways that Legoshi can do it, whether it's the ways that Bill does it, who knows, just a lot of it based on if he devoured, Tem and how he feels about all of that and stuff. But But from a meta perspective, if Bill is the one that devoured Tem, here we got something where we got an emotionally charged set of interactions between Bill and two of the other core characters.
Yeah.
Right? So that if he is more plot relevant than we originally would have been led to believe, the stage is now set. Pun very much intended.
Very much intended.
So
good stuff on that front as well. This episode was fantastic. This episode was ridiculously good. It covered so many things, and I feel like I could go, if I kind of took a breather, rewatch the episode, I could probably go for another hour discussing this episode.
Oh, yeah. I mean, this is... So, okay. With every episode, I'm loving this show more and more.
Yeah.
From the first episode, it's like, all right, this is good. Second episode, it's like, yeah, this is really good. Third episode, it's like, yeah, come on. And here, this is almost getting to the point where it's like, I'm developing that, like... evangelical zeal to be like, all right, I gotta get as many people to watch this as possible, right? Because it's so well done. Just from the production side of things, from the narrative side of things and everything, and the relevance to, life and our society and everything, and, and the idea of using the layer of indirection of it being the animal kingdom, since when it comes right down to it, we are also animals, to like explore the human condition.
Right.
I love
a hyper stylized exploration of the human condition. Because it's not the human condition, it makes it easier to do an exploration because it's not a one-to-one comparison.
If you were to bring up conversations about inherent natures of human beings and things like that vary from group to group, that's kind of something that
that's really tough.
It's really tough.
I don't think you can really do that in a way that's really respectful, in a way that you can even have entertainment around.
Because the fact that they can do it here is largely because, well, we're not animals, right? So the idea of herbivores and carnivores and stuff, and bunnies and wolves and whatnot, sure, yeah, we can go into things like that with some level of comfort because it's not touching us directly, right?
We definitely see familiar things running in parallels, but it is definitely something that allows a more I would say an idealized world that would then also have its flaws to exist, where we can then suspend our disbelief and go, yes, these are people, and it's also the animal kingdom. So, good stuff. This show is nearing masterpiece level just in these 4 episodes. So, wonderful stuff.
I love that OP so much. I want to see Legoshi be at the point where he can dance and have his tail wagging with that big old smile on his face.
I am so rooting for your idealized version of this, but every time this world gets brought up and stuff, it's too much of a utopia to imagine that they would use almost a Romeo and Juliet kind of one of us, one of them, and
star-crossed and all that stuff.
It's too Disney.
Well, right,
it's too Disney.
There will never be a full resolution where that's all there is, but there can be moments of that, and I feel like
that's definitely going to be the case.
And I feel like even in real life, even if real life is not all sunshine and happiness and whatnot, there are moments of paradise, right? There are moments of Disney
shines on you.
Right,
you get to stand in the sun.
Yep, exactly. And the important thing is that we learn to recognize those moments when they happen and to appreciate those moments and not take them for granted because they don't last forever.
And then maybe offer a hand to those that aren't able to stand in that sunlight with you, and
to help them look up and see where they are, right?
Yeah.
So
cool stuff. I love this show. Y'all, thank you so much for watching this episode's reaction and discussion. If you want to see the next episode's reaction and discussion right now, though, go check out the link in the description below for our Patreon. You can get on early access there. You can watch full-length timer reactions there, and all this comes with Discord access, so you can chat with us and the community there about this show, about anime in general, and you can also talk with Jacob about the sci-fi novel that he wrote.
Yes, I wrote a sci-fi novel. It's called Battle Lines, and if you're interested, it's on Amazon for purchase. Link in the description down below.
Yeah, so if any of that interests you, we'll see you there. But until then, we're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we'll see you all next time.